Welcome into the KwikCast, the official podcast of Kwik Trip. My name is Chris Calloway, and I'm joined today by Joe Vike, the Senior Director of the Distribution Center here at Kwik Trip. Joe, welcome onto the KwikCast.
Thanks for having me here, Chris.
And you're in your role now as Senior Director of the DC, but you started at Kwik Trip about a decade ago. How did you get your start at Kwik Trip, and can you tell me a little bit about the career path that got you into the role you're in today?
Absolutely. I actually started with Kwik Trip at a retail location locally in Onalaska, Wisconsin. Back in college, I was going to University of Wisconsin La Crosse, and started in a store. Thought that there's a ton of opportunity with Kwik Trip, which is definitely a fact. After being in the stores for about a year, I came to our distribution division. I actually started in our LP plant, so I was scraping tanks, filling tanks, loading them on trucks. Worked in our warehouse, in our tote wash area. Worked in our ice plant. Picked some orders in our distribution center. And then the last 7 years I spent with our transportation group. So worked with both our grocery side and our petroleum side from a delivery standpoint. And then most recently came over to the distribution center where, this role is a new role that is really to support both La Crosse Distribution Center and then our new distribution center that we will be building in DeForest, Wisconsin.
That's really awesome. And your, career path, while unique to you, isn't all that unique to people that have been at Kwik Trip a long time. So it seems like there've been a lot of people that started at retail and then, bounced around a couple of places before they really find their home here at the company. Would you say that a lot of the people that work with here at Kwik Trip kind of have similar backgrounds to that, where you get your foot in the door at the retail level and then you're able to kind of find a home as you progress along your career path?
Absolutely. No, there's an abundance of that happening throughout our division and really the entire company. You look at our group here in the distribution division, there's multiple individuals that are in leadership roles that have started in different areas of the business, whether it be retail or a different area within the distribution center or transportation or any area across the company. So I think that just makes us as a group and really as a company very versatile to ensure that we're taking care of our people, and ensuring that we're best fit to take care of any future endeavors that Kwik Trip as a group we're looking at.
And it helps you empathize a little bit with the people that are really putting in the hard work at the retail level, that the people that really help keep this company go.
Absolutely. No, that is a fact. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And, being able to do it and see it and feel it and touch it, all those different things is extremely important to make anybody be a quality leader in our company.
And when you call home today, the distribution center, it's certainly the largest building on the Kwik Trip campus. And in the handful of times that I've been in there, that place is always humming. And that's certainly by design. But let's go back to the beginning. How long has the DC been operational? What's kind of the history of that building here on campus?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in 1996, we actually built the current building that we're in today. Back then, it was about 110,000 square feet. Since 1996, we've had about 7 additions onto this building. So multiple different, growth opportunities for the company, which is just making our business here at the distribution center continuing to grow. So today, you look at it, we were 110,000 square foot back in 1996. Today, we're pushing that 480,000 square foot facility here in La Crosse. So, you look at all of the moving parts within the distribution center. It takes the whole campus to make it happen. All of our production facilities working hand in hand close with the distribution center to get the product shipped to our distribution center on a timely basis so that we can get it on the truck. We've got, roughly 650 coworkers here in the distribution center today in La Crosse, and our team is really coordinating all those efforts when it comes from all the production facilities, and we're getting it on the truck for final delivery each and every shift. Today, we're 24/7, and it definitely is humming all the time around here, Chris. So it's a fun place to be around, and it's definitely a great atmosphere.
So you've expanded and expanded again and kept expanding to the point where there's not a whole lot of room left to expand here on our footprint in La Crosse, and we'll get into what's coming into DeForest in a little bit. But what you just described with the collaboration with the other buildings, the other units here on campus, we like to refer to that as our vertical integration. We're proud of our production facilities, the dairy, the kitchens, the sweet bakery, the bread and bun facility. All that product has to get to our store somehow. How important is the DC as kind of that place where all of those intersect before they actually get to the stores and the overall vertical integration philosophy here at Kwik Trip?
You bet. Yeah, it's extremely important. You look at the center of the campus here is really the distribution center. Each production facility is getting specific orders from our dispatch team in the distribution center here, and really everything's flowing through the distribution center. So, it might start at the dairy plant, and those milk trailers come to the distribution center, and it's a heartbeat over here. We need to continue to ensure that we're staying on top of it because ultimately we're defining on when these trailers and when the deliveries are going to happen. So extremely important for us to, we say we make it, we ship it, and we sell it all the way through. So it's extremely important that we continue to rock down that path.
So a truck comes in and it could have a wide array of different things. It might have bread that has to go one place. It might have milk that has to go one place. Maybe ice cream that has to go into a freezer. If you're looking at a bird's eye view of the building, kind of how is it broken up in all the different segments that make the building go?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So when you look at our distribution center as a whole, we've got a dry side, we've got a cooler, and then we got a freezer. Different square footages to be able to support the business of our ever-growing store count. But when you look at all the different areas, we've got 11 different areas within our distribution center that needs to come together on our loading dock at one time. So whether it's the production items coming over and those are being cross-docked into our final delivery trailers, it's all the picking that's occurring in our warehouse at a sequential time. And timing is extremely important for our group to ensure that all the product, whether it's our dry product, our dry grocery product, our freezer product, or our cooler products coming to that dock at one time. So definitely a timing thing that we're doing and managing each and every day. And the group does a great job of making sure we're staying on time. And ultimately, we talk a lot about our internal customers. Our internal customers are, how can we help the next coworker in line? So if I'm receiving our product into the distribution center, how am I setting up that next coworker for success so that ultimately when that coworker goes to pick that product, they're setting up the next individual for success, setting up our loaders for success, setting up our drivers for success, and then ultimately those drivers are taking care of retail to then take care of our consumer at the end.
Because it's a fast moving machine in there. And famously we talk about our dairy, that it's from the cow to the store in 24. At some point it's got to hit the DC in the middle of that 24 hours. So there are some products that don't sit in the distribution center for very long, and I would imagine there aren't a lot that are just sitting on the back of the shelves waiting to be picked. Stuff comes in and then it goes out quickly. I mean, do you know how fast things get turned over just on a general philosophy with all the different items that come in there?
Yeah, we can use one good example. So our kitchens team, making our take-home meals, our sandwiches, our pizza, we're bringing our fresh items, take a take-home meal. They're making that product this morning. It's coming over to the distribution center. We're picking that product specifically for a store, and that's going out that night. So tonight. So it's literally the same day, and that just shows and really showcases our freshness across the board. So you're 100% correct, Chris. We're working hard to ensure that we're getting that product to the guest with the freshest possible product out there.
And how do you stay current with what you want to do on from a tech perspective? Things are moving so quickly in there. It might be hard to kind of step back and reevaluate, okay, what's the best way to do this? Do we need to add a different route? Do we need to switch things up? So how do you kind of look at what you're doing and try to still increase those efficiencies while staying productive day in and day out on a 24/7 basis, like you said?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have leadership that really is evaluating this at all times when it comes to efficiencies. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It comes down to the best ideas from an efficiency standpoint, from a process change standpoint. usually comes from our coworkers on the floor. The coworkers on the floor, they give us great suggestions. They're doing it every single day. So it's extremely important that we're hearing them out. We're understanding what's happening on the floor, and then we adjust accordingly to make efficiencies happen. A good example of that is, today I'll use the kitchens as an example again. We worked hand in hand with our kitchens teams, any of the production teams across the board, but our kitchens teams was, bringing a tote over with the product, and it was a certain color. So that was a blue tote coming over. And then us as a DC, we were picking it in a green tote. We're having collaboration on going, okay, how can we make sure that process is a little bit more efficient? And it's a simple switch of the tote. Let's bring it over in green. Let's reuse that green. It's a clean tote. Let's ensure that we're taking care of the next person in line. Again, that internal customer, that drives efficiencies. Every single day we have meetings in a couple of our areas that is really a 15-minute meeting to talk about specifics to, hey, what's going well, what's not going well, what's something we can work on to ensure that we're continuing to improve as an operation. And that's just, that's one small part of the distribution center that's happening today. And we continue to move that into all areas of our business so that we know that every part is really executing at a high level to ultimately take care of our guests.
And those totes, those seem like they're one of the lifebloods of Kwik Trip. Almost every product goes into a tote at some point. They get reused, they get washed. Do you have any idea how many totes are somewhere within the Kwik Trip ecosystem at any time?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we last week roughly we washed 500,000 totes. So that gives you a little bit of a idea of how many totes are going through the system at any given time. And that's just totes. There's a lid that goes with that tote as well. So 500,000 totes, 500,000 lids, and we're making sure that that's ready for that next product to go into it from a sanitary standpoint. Safety, food safety, obviously, is extremely important for us.
And you mentioned the sanitization, those tote washers. They're one of the roles within the DC. You've got your order pickers that are flying around on the pallet jacks. Other people are moving products by hand. What are some of the roles that are, very critical in keeping the DC running?
Oh, that's a great question. Every single role is extremely important across the board. It doesn't matter where you're at within the distribution center. We've got a fantastic custodial team that does a great job of making sure that our building is taken care of, not only inside the building, but outside the building. We have the tote wash group that you talked about. I mean, I could talk about every single position within the distribution center, but it's extremely dynamic group. We've got a group that works in our freezer that's set at -10, and that's a tough environment to work. And the team does a great job ensuring that whether it's a freezer suit or specific gloves or hand warmers, we want to make sure we're taking care of our people. To make sure that they're doing the best they possibly can and are taken care of to ultimately take care of that internal customer. But there's strategy that goes into every position. I look at our loading team on the dock today. You know, I often say we're not just loading one SKU. We're loading, like you stated earlier, Chris, multiple different items. We have a trailer that's set at -20 in the front, a cooler setting in the back. We've got anywhere from ice cream to certain boxes, tornadoes, anything you see on our hotspot, all the way back to the eggs, the chicken, all of our milk, all of our cooler totes, all of our bread and bakery. So it's an extremely dynamic environment for our team, and we're constantly working through as a group to ensure that we're setting that next group up for success. So very important.
Very cool. And for a little plug here, jobs.kwiktrip.com. It seems like the DC, you're always hiring. You mentioned over 600 people that have worked there. There's always new roles coming available, and people like you mentioned yourself that moving up, moving around in the company, and there's always an opportunity to come work at the DC. Correct?
That's correct. You bet. Yeah. So like right now, specifically, we've got part-time, full-time positions open within the distribution center. And, you know, there's tons of opportunities within not only the distribution center, but the distribution division as a whole. And then you look at the whole company. But, Yeah, Chris, we're always looking to grow our business, and really that comes down to with what we're growing as a company, store growth and things. So we're always trying to make sure we're keeping up with that, and having a strategy going into our summer months. Between Memorial Day, Labor Day, that's really our busiest time. We've got a lot of seasonal help that comes back from college, and those individuals play a key role into taking care of the business.
Well, allegedly the summer will have nice weather, but that remains to be seen with what we're talking
Yeah.
here in early April. But that growth, I mean, that's just what we're all about. And that leads us kind of in our next topic of conversation here. We've been able to talk about that we're going to add a second distribution center down in the Madison area in DeForest. We closed on the property. We're going to get rolling on it soon. But what point did you get to where you're like, okay, 400 plus thousand square feet in La Crosse just isn't enough. We need to add another one of these on another part of the state.
That's a great question. Extremely exciting times for Kwik Trip, Chris. I can tell you that, as you know. But when you look at, and you mentioned it earlier, the real estate here in La Crosse, the strategy when it comes to taking care of retail, to ensure that we do that to our absolute best. When you look at our footprint, we've got 300 plus stores that we can service out of this facility out of DeForest. And, what drove us to this decision was, you look at a lot of different items when it comes to stores in that area, concentration of stores to be able to support. And then the real estate factor here in La Crosse. We're not growing as a population in La Crosse, and we want to be able to support all of our stores. And by doing that, we said, hey, there's an opportunity to build a distribution center in our DeForest location, and that's what we're doing. So today we're in the design phases of, really ideally looking at what works best for a distribution center. What have we learned from here today in our distribution center that maybe we designed a little bit different? And it's really a strategy just to take care of the stores in that area, and it comes down to real estate in the crops.
Sure. And like you mentioned, it's supporting about 300 stores by the end of 2024. We're probably going to be right around 900 stores in the company. So be able to lighten that load here at the La Crosse Distribution Center. But how does kind of spreading that out from here down to DeForest, how does that make life better for our coworkers here in La Crosse?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there's definitely going to be some challenges when it comes to the growth side, when it comes to a new distribution center, a new strategy to ensure that we're filling that building appropriately. Our days on hand of our inventories, something that we haven't done in the past that, we'll do a great job as a group across the board to make that happen. But back to the coworkers, when you look at the growth within our distribution center, it's all been, and really the company, it's all been, hey, distribution center on La Crosse, making sure we're covering the whole footprint. So it gives us some redundancy. I think that's a big word and a big item that we need to continue to evaluate is just, hey, it's redundancy. We're having an opportunity to have two distribution centers to take care of a certain portion of our stores. So it gives opportunities for our coworkers. The facility in DeForest, we've had a lot of interest internally for coworkers to move and wanting to go down to that DeForest facility, which is extremely important for our group because culture is number one for our group. It seriously is number one. And if we have coworkers that want to go to that facility, we're open arms on that one. We want to make sure that we're setting that new facility up for success. So a ton of opportunity for coworkers, if they have family in that Madison area and want to move to that location, which we've heard of, it's like, yeah, hey, great opportunity for you to go down to DeForest and really start a new journey with Kwik Trip into a new facility. So a lot of good opportunities for our coworkers. And then, back to La Crosse, there's going to be an impact to La Crosse when it comes to how does that volume being taken out of La Crosse affect our coworkers that are staying in La Crosse. We're being extremely mindful of that and extremely strategic on how many stores that we will start in the facility. Today, don't have an answer on how many stores we're going to start in DeForest, but there's definitely a ramp up that takes some time and some strategy to ensure that we're setting up really everybody for success.
Well, that makes sense. You probably can't go from 0 to 300 stores on day one. You got to figure out how you're getting the product in and getting it out and keeping that same expectation and levels of efficiency that people expect from Kwik Trip coming here out of La Crosse, right?
Absolutely.
And so, do you know exactly or roughly how many opportunities there are going to be in the DeForest area? You know how many jobs we're hoping to hire for there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in the distribution center itself, we'll have anywhere from, I would say, 120 to 175 coworkers on the floor down there. And then we'll have a leadership team as well, from the director of that facility to our managers and to our supervisors and our assistant supervisors. So that structure will be similar to what we see in La Crosse today, but a lot of opportunities for coworkers. Like I said, anywhere from 150 to 175 coworkers in that facility once we're fully mature.
And what can you share about the timeline? Is there still the planning phases? We're still working on figuring that all out, or what can you share about when that place might be up and running?
Yeah, no, that's a tough question. I wish I had a crystal ball, Chris, to say, yeah, hey, this is when we're going to go live. But today, there's we're still in the design phase. We haven't even put a shovel in the ground right now. So honestly, if I told you something, it'd be our best guess at this point. So
Are you probably making a few trips between here and DeForest in the next year or so? It's probably safe to say.
yeah, that's very safe to say. You bet. Yeah. No, it'll be great. It's, and like I said earlier, Chris, it's extremely exciting for our group and really the company to in this new venture here. So very excited, our team to build the right group down there to really support those stores in that neck of the woods. So
Very cool. So the DeForest Distribution Center coming at a timetable to be announced as soon as they figure it out over there in the DC. But one of the last questions to wrap things up with you. You're a veteran here of Kwik Trip. If I gave you $20 and I said, Joe, you got to go buy your family dinner, what are you coming out of Kwik Trip with?
I don't know if I'd be considered a veteran here. I'm only 10 years, Chris. I tell you what, there's a lot of people that are 20 plus and they still say they're new.
Well,
Um,
you know your way around the store. You know how to efficiently spend 20
yeah,
bucks
yeah, yeah.
there, right?
So I have 20 bucks.
Yes.
All right. So I think, have you ever had cheese curds on pizza?
Yeah, of
The
course.
tailgater pizza. I tell you what, that is fantastic. I would go with that. And you have to get a little dessert. So brookie dough. I mean, you just can't beat that ice cream. So, I mean, I'd have the pizza and then I'd have our, brookie dough ice cream and I'd have to mix in probably a little bit of our chocolate milk. So a little bit dairy heavy here, but you know what? That's all me. So
Well, that's
is
my
that
next
under 20?
question.
Are you spot checking my
I
math?
think, you can get the pizza on sale right around 10. The brookie dough, I think, on sale technically right now or coming up. It's about $2.99, $3.99, somewhere in there. And then your brown cap, green cap, chocolate milk, whatever you're choosing, you're right around that $20 mark. I think you're
I'm gonna
good.
have to go with brown cap.
Brown cap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the full flavor. And I think it's everyone's best answer. Maybe if you're going to drink multiple, have a green cap, but the brown cap is definitely where it's at.
We have the best chocolate milk.
So you get to see all this product coming in and out of the stores. I mean, are you salivating when you see some of the new products? You got to wait. Like, oh man, it's frozen here. I can't go stick one in the freezer, peel one off the line. It's not as accessible for you when you're watching it come into the DC, right?
Yeah, I mean that can be definitely tough. Yesterday, I actually went over to the kitchens, and we have conversations all the time with leadership group in all production areas, and John Lashinsky, our senior director of kitchens over there, took us through. And it's funny, we're talking about Joe's favorite meal out of Kwik Trip. They were making tailgater pizzas, and I told John, I said, John, I told you this before. This is my favorite pizza. So I don't know if you did this on purpose or what, but I mean, it's just before lunch here. I'm really wanting to get some of this. So I didn't have tailgater pizza for lunch yesterday, but he definitely was tempting me.
Well, your job is to make sure that all of our stores can get the tailgater pizza and all of our guests can take it home to try.
Absolutely.
It's very cool. Joe Vike, the senior director of the distribution center here in La Crosse, and that new, awesome, exciting endeavor down in DeForest coming soon. We appreciate your time here on the KwikCast, and best of luck with everything in the development of the new DC.
Appreciate your time, Chris. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.